Hello, this is Spellbinder with the Reality Zone, or the Unfiltered News Headlines, a G. Edward Griffin's newsletter. Here's the comic strip for this week. It says, they're trying to cut our pensions. Public sector, private sector. What's a pension? That's exactly right. These people on social welfare, public welfare, had it so good for so long when it was no longer able to be afforded and it had to be taken away. They're just like welfare recipients are going to feel when it's finally taken away from them. They're just another form of welfare. And now they're upset because they won't be able to give the union bosses all their money. It's pretty sad. Wisconsin judge refused a block bill that limits power of public employee unions, so now it goes into effect. Unions no longer can bargain over pensions and health care. Pay raises may not exceed the rate of inflation. Unions now must collect dues directly from members, that is, if members wants to pay them, instead of having the state automatically deduct them from their paychecks. And employees now must pay a portion of the cost of their pensions and health care. Unions vow to do whatever necessary to reverse these measures and rob more money from the public servants of welfare. These that's all it is another form of welfare called union. It's about time that they couldn't get away with doing what they were doing. U.S. unions pledged $30 million for campaign to gain public sympathy for compulsory bargaining as a human rights issue, just like welfare is for fourth and fifth generation welfare recipients. Yeah, it's not a budget issue. They will not discuss the human rights of taxpayers who are forced to pay for pensions and health care programs of public employees, nor will they mention that if states go bankrupt, they will turn to the federal government for bailouts, which also passes the cost to taxpayers and undermines state sovereignty. It's a Yahoo article here. That was a UPI article there. Let's see, Liquida's vaccine. Oh yes, Liquida's vaccine, not yet approved, is to be delivered by inhalation. That means we could be vaccinated without being aware of it, like the chemtrail spraying, and without permission. Heck, it even could be dispersed from airplanes along with other concoctions which supposedly are for our own good. Coin posted that on March 11th. World's largest bond fund dumps all of its U.S. Treasury debt holdings. No one in their right mind is buying U.S. bonds. They are junk bonds with a rating of XXX. They will pay back with dollars so worthless that it will take 5 to buy a safety pin. The Federal Reserve already is purchasing over 70% of the new government bonds with money created from nothing from the Federal Reserve printing presses, and soon it will be 100%. They'll just be buying into their own collapse, economic collapse. 2011, March 10th. The cost of an injection to prevent premature birth jumps from $10 to $1,500. Why? Because the FDA officially approved it and gave the exclusive manufacturing right to one company, thus eliminating competition. Be grateful. This was done to improve safety, of course. The AJC, March 10th. Utah House passes bill that would make federally minted coins of gold and silver legal tender. That's right. YouTube, March 4th. There's the video on it. It's a video of it. Utah Senate also passed Gold and Silver Legal Tender Act. It exempts the sale of these metals from Utah sales and capital gains taxes. If Governor Herbert signs this into law, it will be an important step towards sound money. This could be profound. Residents of Utah would not have to use Federal Reserve notes in commerce. Banks would have to accept gold and silver coins on deposit and settle accounts with it as well. Other states may follow suit. which would be kind of neat because it would take like maybe 5 or 6 silver pieces to settle out of several hundred pieces of paper if the price of silver keeps going up as it's doing now. Yes, and it has went up. It's up to $35, I believe, an ounce. The UN World Health Organization, WHO, investigated itself and found that the 2009 swine flu pandemic was exaggerated. Really? And what's new? And people got over it without any medication at all. However, as expected, it found no evidence of malfeasance and said WHO is not influenced by commercial interest in its response. Then it asked for an additional $100 million to prepare for the next pandemic. They're nuts if we go along with the... We're nuts, people. Study by National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration shows that the Russian heat of 2010 was caused by natural phenomena, not man-made global warming. That was WWT on March 9th. Man, are you ever going to wake up to the scams they're pulling on you? Quebec has yielded to public outcry against shale gas development and announces a slowdown of new drilling permits. The concern is over fracking, a process of fracturing deep rock formations to release gas trapped there, because that also releases toxic gas into the air and the underground water. It is believed that the government is stalling and buying time so it can produce a rigged study showing that fracking is proven safe. The Gazette, March 9th. UK, 600 protesters stormed a county court to make a citizen's arrest of the corrupt judge. This was in support of a leader of the British Constitution Group who was facing a bankruptcy hearing for non-payment of county taxes. Daily Mail, March 8th. U.S. welfare makes up 1/3 of U.S. wages. That's right, 1/3 of your wages go to welfare, the same as to the public welfare called unions. Yes, welfare payments have increased by $514 billion in the last 2 years. In the UK, 44% of the wages are welfare payments. CNBC, March 8th. Ooh, look, Obama does another executive order. Obama issues an executive order for indefinite detention in military tribunals at Guantanamo. This reverses yet one more campaign pledge, and yet there are those who still harbor the delusion that there is a meaningful difference between Republican and Democratic parties. Daily Mail, March 8th. Yes, this here is against the Constitution. It means you're next. If they can do this to them, they can do it to you. Syngenta, a Swiss corporation and genetically modified manufacturer, has spent $15 million in lobbying politicians to legalize a controversial form of GM corn used for ethanol. Business Insider, March 8th. Japan, Pfizer and Sanofi vaccines for pneumonia and meningitis are banned after 4 children die. Yahoo, March 7th. CIA agent working undercover as a U.S. diplomat in Pakistan gunned down 2 men in broad daylight. The Obama administration claims that his cover as a diplomat should protect him from prosecution. Yes, it's called above the law of any country. They get away with that partially here, calling it diplomatic immunity. Florida. Tow booth operators demand ID from people who pay with $20, $50, and $100 bills. That's right, they hold you there and demand you to tell them where the money came from, why you're going with that much money. Oh yes, this is so unconstitutional and anti-American. And they do it by their own personal judgments. The Florida Turnpike denied it, but Joe Chandler filmed them. CBS has obtained internal memoirs proving that the department was lying and attempting to cover up. that they were doing such a thing. You know, they were saying that because they were getting 16 million in counterfeit money every like year or two. 16 million, right? And they're making so many million, 100 million off of this toll road. And the only thing they needed was one of those pins that we use in the grocery stores that they check your $20 bills, $5 bills, and $100 bills with. That's all they needed. But that's not the point. It's to get you used to being subjugated, to being, where's your papers, please, before you can pass. U.S. recent probe discovers Ohio State University and federal government subjected human volunteers to experiments involving injections of live cancer cells, rabbit fever, and other horrors in the 1950s through the 70s. Victims were told only that they were serving society. Columbus Dispatch, March 6. Richard Fine, who was jailed for 18 months after confronting Los Angeles Superior Court judges with taking bribes, describes the status of his effort to restore integrity to the judicial system. So far, 3 judges have reclused themselves because they have taken illegal money, and the latest hearing has been canceled. Fine will not give up. Full disclosure, March 6. Alrighty, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security defers implementation of Real ID until 2013. Janet Napolitano, heads of the Department of Home Security, yields to public pressure and says Real ID should be repealed. When Napolitano was governor of Arizona, she signed a state law that forbids compliance with Real ID. Now she says it should be replaced by something else. Essentially the same, but with a different name. Like usual, they keep doing the same thing, give it a different name. Alrighty, and that was CNET, March 5th. A film, or video, U.S. whistleblower reveals that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, allowed and encouraged thousands of guns to cross the Arizona border into Mexico. These have been used in drug crimes and murders. Be aware that while this has been going on, the government has been calling for disarming American citizens, supposedly to stop guns from going into Mexico. But they're the ones actually allowing them into Mexico and helping to walk through. CBS News, March 5th. More. UK Chief Executive of the National Grid Power Company says that in the near future we will have to change our behavior and use electricity when it is available. Yes, the purpose of smart grid power distribution systems and smart meters is rationing. Air conditioners and heaters will be controlled by utility companies partnered with the government. Money passed around to everyone. WUWT posted on March 5th. China steps up its efforts to make its own currency a replacement for the U.S. dollar as the international trading currency. Zero Hedge article, March 5th. National Vaccine Information Center comments on the recent Supreme Court ruling that shields drug companies from lawsuits when their products cause damage or death. That's a YouTube posted March 5th. Yes, now they can get away with saying, hey, if we got waivers now. It says if we don't pay you anything if you give your kid these vaccines that we demand you to have. Ha 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 ha. And they make a bunch of money off of you, and then your child's retarded and damaged mentally and physically. Bad pharmaceutical companies. Need to get rid of the FDA. They just love them people. Here is a step-by-step guide with shocking example of how to determine whether non-profit organizations are unduly influenced by donations from elite controllers. Morph City, March 8. Tax-exempt foundations are used by the super wealthy to avoid tax and promote hidden agendas that would shock most people if they knew. They also strive to obtain legislation that forces taxpayers to fund those agendas. Here are the details. Morph City, March 8th. Silver is surging due to the shortage and massive speculation in the future prices. Analysts are predicting $50 silver this year. Those with large short positions such as JP Morgan will be destroyed unless, of course, their puppets in Congress give them more bailout funds taken from taxpayers. Either way, silver has only one way to go. That is up. Zero Hedge, March 7th. And that's all the time I have for today. You can read the rest of these headlines and read the articles. I'll have a post of the link to this Reality Zone current period posted in my description. Until next time, this is Spellbinder's report on the headlines of Unfiltered News. Good day.